Okay, welcome everybody. And it's great to have you all here. And we're going to talk about how Indian lawyers and company secretaries can help companies, okay, and businesses in relation to market entries. So where we are looking to enter into different countries or markets. Great. Welcome everyone. Great. Okay, so hi, my name is Komal, and I am the co-founder and content head for 𝗨𝗂𝘂𝗀𝗶. And by background, I'm a qualified lawyer and a company secretary, and I have worked in India as well as Ireland across multiple entities. I have even held company secretaryship of some UK entities for a certain period of time. And basically, all my employers have been multinational companies. So I've always had this brush with, having to enter into different kinds of markets. So that is something we are going to talk about. But enough about me. So, like, I would like to know a little bit about you guys. We have quite a few people here, and we have people watching on YouTube as well. So I would like to know a little bit about you guys. So quickly, if I say, if people can, a few of people can just quickly introduce themselves. A CS aspirant and last year LLB student, 𝗕𝗁𝗂𝗵, welcome. Okay. Well, there are quite a few number of people here in this webinar today, and I'm very happy to be in the middle of all of you. So what I'm going to do, is launch a poll. Let's see how many people are there. I'm going to share the results of the poll with you guys also. In-house counsel in NetMeds. Wow, Bianca, welcome. Svetank is an advocate. Dimple, CS in employment. CA and CS finalist from KPMG, brilliant. Arshlene pursuing CS, great, fantastic. So we have a lot of different people. Great. Great. Company secretary in practice. Wow. Great. Welcome everybody. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, let me launch this poll and we can see how many of us are in the different occasions. Let me launch this up. Okay. Now, tell me, can you see this poll? Can everybody see the poll? Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. Lots of people are answering the poll. Thank you so much. There are lots of advocates also, practicing advocates, CS students, quite a few people. Brilliant. Let's see how the poll goes. Brilliant. Okay, go on. Everybody, please answer the poll. It will be really good to know. Please answer the poll. It will be really good to know. Anyone who has not answered the poll yet? Okay, I'm going to give 1 more minute and then I will share the results and we'll see how many people are with us, like how many different people are with us. Great. Let's end the poll here. I'm going to share the results. So we have maximum CAs and CS in this webinar. Then we have law students, we have qualified lawyers, we have other people. Then there are no founders here. So I'm just going to share the results. So that is fantastic. Can everyone see this? Ashok, yeah, you were there yesterday as well. I recognize you. Okay, brilliant. I'll also like to acknowledge the presence of 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗂𝗵𝗂𝗵𝗂𝗵𝗂𝗵𝗂𝗵𝗂 who is with us in the team, and he is going to help answer some chats or some questions that you guys may have in the later parts of the webinar. Thank you so much. People are raising their hands. If you have any questions or anything to say, kindly put your feedback or your questions in the chat. That would be really helpful. Right. Now let's get into the session. We are going to have a lot of fun. We're going to talk of a lot of entities. We're going to talk of a lot of different countries. Let me just begin this here. Here we go. Okay. So how can Indian lawyers and company secretaries, and if you say this crowd, there are quite a few people who are chartered accountants. There's no intention to miss you out, but this is what is the topic of the webinar. Definitely, it is equally applicable to you when you are, helping a business with international expansion. Okay, so we're going to get into it. Now, this, as I said, is my background. So I have been and I've worked with quite a few in-house counsels and company secretaries. So I have been in-house counsel in a company as well. I have been company secretary of quite a few companies, and this is based in India and based in Ireland and UK as well. So, and these people, fortunately, I've had a brush with people of a lot of different nationalities. And when I say in-house counsels, I have worked with Chinese, I've worked with a New Zealander, I've worked with Irish national councils, I've worked with British, I've worked with a Malaysian national council as well. So like quite a few different nationalities of people. So I've been fortunate enough to be in that zone and work with people of so many different countries. It's just it's a really illuminating experience. Okay, so now if we move on, and like I said, most of my employers have been multinational companies, and there have been all sizes. So like obviously there have been huge gigantic multinationals like Citibank or Northern Trust. Then I also had a brush with a carbon credit company which had entities across the world. I also had a brush with a bank which had like 2 or 3 different nations, but nevertheless a multinational, right? So these have been of like very lot of different sizes, right? I've also worked with clients. Okay, so I've advised Indian companies who have been venturing abroad, so like in Singapore, in the likes in Dubai as well. And then foreign companies entering into India, UK or US entities entering into India, I have advised on. So now when you are working with clients like this who are entering into different countries completely, you have to manage the expectations very, very tightly. So they very clearly expect certain things out of you, and you have to manage that. You have to be very upfront. You have to tell them what is the right situation, and this is how it is going to be. And you have absolutely no scope to like you know do anything casual that if this will be the case then this will happen. You can't give them indicators like that. That's absolutely not the way. You have to manage expectations very, very tightly. Okay. Now, this is the thing, like, why are we talking so much about international expansion? Okay, why are we talking of moving into different countries, and why are we talking that, we really want to go out and set up an entity outside, and we want to earn from there, and we want to do all of these things? Okay, why is this sudden wave cropped up? And why are we not looking, let's say, at growing to the next level and increasing the size in the country itself? Why we even considering this, right? So the situation is because there has been a significant change in the way cross-border transactions happen in India, and over the last couple of years, especially like 2 to 3 years, a lot of changes, okay, on this scene. So you will see, like, in the last 2 to 3 years, the government is also responding with quite a few changes in the policy. Like, in the 2018, you saw a complete revamp or rehash of the e-commerce policy. I mean, you would see the completely new rules for FDI being brought into in 2019. So there are going to be changes like this, which have, see, where you're talking of cross-border transactions, there is a change of scene. And what is the kind of change? Like, you see massive startups being funded. You look at, the funding of different kinds of startups. These are all non-resident investors, right? So many of them will have funding from non-resident investors. Any company is hitting the news, and you look at, like, they're becoming a unicorn, and they hit the news, and you check the funding rounds that they've had. These are non-resident investors. Okay, so it's not only like, foreign companies who are establishing an Indian presence. That was the story from 1990 to 2015. So, like, foreign companies will come here, they will provide like a foreign collaboration and technical skills or technology to the Indian companies. Indian companies will possibly float a joint venture with those kind of foreign technology and collaborations. And then, they will, like, work with the technology coming in from outside into India. And you had in foreign entities establishing Indian presence. Okay, up to 2015, kind of this would have been the scene. Does anyone have any questions here? Yeah. So Abhishek is telling me there are 38 unicorn startups this year. Like, I mean, so, well, yeah, like, and the funding for all of these companies is like, lots of times foreign investors. So that is going to come in. That is one point of thing, one side of the transaction, that is fine. But now Indian companies are going abroad very rapidly. Okay, so you can see a lot of entities seeing sense, lot of startup businesses, lot of entrepreneurs seeing sense in going outside India. Okay, for whatever reasons, they haven't even completed certain number of years of their existence, and yet they will look at moving abroad, they will look at going abroad very, very rapidly. Okay, so they do not wait, they don't wait that we will grow up, we will mature, we will spend a lot of different things, and, like, we will mature up to a certain level, and only then we will venture into other countries. That mentality is not there anymore. And why is that the case? Why is that the case? Why do we have this situation? So, like I said, initially it would be like, heavily capitalized companies or software giants who would kind of go abroad and acquire the foreign companies. They will, like I said, they'll grow within the country up to a certain level, up to a certain size and a scale. And only after that they will think that, I want to venture abroad and acquire a foreign company. And that will probably be because, the exchange rate was always unfavorable to us. So, like, venturing abroad would mean a really heavy kind of capital investment. So you wouldn't want to do that until you have achieved a certain size in India, and you have the moolah to shell out. Now, this is what were some traditional things that happened. Mahindra and Mahindra, they ventured into USA way back in 1994 with a farm equipment division that they had set up in Texas at some point of time. But even before that, like I said, they had a collaboration with which they manufactured a specific type of Jeep in India. So they used to get that technology, and then they will make that Jeep, which would kind of be useful for the rough terrain that you find. And it's now, as we see that over the few periods or few years, we see that there has been really good road developments and everything that happens. But way back, you would need something like a rugged kind of vehicle to navigate the Indian terrain. So that is what they were doing. Asian Paints. Asian Paints is obviously the market leader in the paints industry, and if I may say so, an investor's favorite. Okay, it gives that kind of stability. So Asian Paints is ventured in 2002. They acquired a company, Berger International, at that point of time, which was in some coating related products and all. So this is something that these are the transactions that happened before and traditionally. But Asian Paints also, as you can see, it's it's manufacturing. It's not a company which is of a small size or a startup kind of nature. So it's a market leader in the paints division in India. So already achieved a certain size, and then going for that. Infosys Technologies, again, a big software company, has lots of subsidiary entities abroad. So those were the kinds of companies that used to enter into and foray in international space. But now we have startups people will be, oh my God, this was born yesterday and it's already international today. It's that kind of speed with which the startups are moving, and we'll see why that is happening. So this is one, for example, fresh to home. And we would think that pandemic would kind of impact, but this has happened right in October 2020. Okay, so just kind of a point of time when the pandemic's effects are kind of going down, and in some places coming up maybe. So, but yeah, so it's it ventured at that time. Yap is a company which is dealing with AI, and this company actually ventured in has presence in Australia, New Zealand, UAE, and Nepal. So these are all some companies you probably may not even heard the names of, right? And yet these are venturing out of India. Postman, I was reading about this company. It was incredible to learn of it. Right now, there were just two people, three guys who started this entity, and they were making something that is a connected concept to the Internet of Things. They were building something that would help people or help devices connect with each other. Okay, and the way these guys started up, they made a project kind of thing. They were doing it one of them was kind of full time on it, another was working part time, and it was a project that they started, and they put up that project or that product or technology up on the internet, and they were takers of it like anything. So they couldn't believe that so many people would demand and would use this kind of technology, which they found really helpful. Okay, and even before they set up a company, before they formulated a proper company or entity out of it, they started earning and making a lot of money, okay, from the technology. So these kinds of things are happening, which will not which is making it possible for companies which are in India, startups which are in India, technology based startup, to just go and venture out of India. 𝗥𝗂 is another company which has presence in Europe, and 𝗂𝐴, it's in reconciliation related software. So this is one quote, which we have said, and like it seems completely true. So the tweet is that it's easier to earn $1 than a rupee. Okay, because like you find technology like that which is being used, which makes more sense to people outside India, they are going to take it. Okay, so it may be easier like to earn the dollar than a rupee. Here you may actually face a uh, lot of requirements which you need to fulfill. There can be bureaucracy, there can be delays in getting something done. Okay, and you may find business friendly jurisdictions outside where you may find it easier to go. Dipanshu, what will be the impact of Future Group and Amazon and Reliance deals, which is under decision to be taken? What will impact on Indian ecosystem? What about Zoho? Yes, Dipanshu, Zoho is also a company which is headquartered, in the US, and that company is also, I think, present in something like 12 countries. Zoho is also a startup, but Zoho I will put as a relatively larger startup. Okay, in the kinds of Flipkart and Zoho, I'll consider them relatively larger startups, while these entities which I just mentioned, these are not really huge, they are not really well known, and yet they are present in so many countries. Okay, Indian companies are going global even before saturating the Indian market. They're not waiting. Like I said, they don't wait that, okay, let me become an adult here and then I will move out of India. No, they are moving very fast because of better business fundamentals, higher margins, and lower taxes abroad. So this definitely makes sense to people that, there are better margins outside. Is service sector industries, what are the steps required to expand internationally? We will come to the steps. Okay, it's a good question. We will come to the steps. Scope of CS in a tier 2 Indian city, we are not, we are talking of scope of CS when a company is going internationally. So let's look at what is happening there, right? And how can you support? Like we will come, whether you are in a metro or on a tier 2 city, how can you support a company which is going internationally? Okay, we will talk about that. So now, because of better business fundamentals, higher margins, and lower taxes, they are looking to go abroad. Like I'm saying, these entities are not really huge. They do not have operational and functional, huge departments of their own, and like, uh, whole lots of firms, law firms advising them, a fully fledged functional legal department, which is going to give them all the advice that they need. That is not the case with these are relatively like smaller entities, but they are not hesitating from moving abroad. Are companies moving abroad or simultaneously acquiring entities abroad? There can be lots of different ways you do that. Moving means you can have like, be acquiring entities abroad. Moving means you can have a presence or an office. Moving can also mean flipping, which we will come to. Okay. Indian companies can have the parent company abroad in Singapore, Dubai, US, or in any other tax efficient jurisdiction. And they have an Indian subsidiary with a workforce here in India and other international markets. Okay, that is what flipping is all about. Okay. So we are going to talk of what flipping is. So naturally, just think of this: like you are operating in India, you are subject to the Indian regime of taxes. Okay, if they have a parent company abroad in these jurisdictions, in the tax efficient jurisdictions where they have the Indian subsidiary here and workforce here. Okay, then like even if they are serving international markets, it works out much better. How? Okay, so again, for employment, they can choose to work with the agencies if you're looking to have someone as a presence abroad. even then you may not be looking to actively hire people abroad. They can choose to work with the agencies, and they can choose to have people who are working on kind of a consultant basis abroad. Okay. Remote work would mean that they may need to hire many employees in a country where they are operating, or they don't have to hire many employees in the country where they are operating or have to be incorporated. They may be having people who are working even from India or from other countries on a consultant basis. Like when I had one of my friends who was shifting from Ireland to India, she was offered remote work with the exact same company with which she was working in Ireland. And she came to know that there were many consultants in many other countries which were remotely working to support that company. So you can take or access talent pool in many different countries. Because of this, you can have consultants. So two main reasons why Indian companies are setting up parent companies abroad. We talked of flipping, okay, and we are talking of why would they do that. So the primary reason definitely is tax, okay, and the intention is always to save on the capital gains taxes to which they would be subject if they were not having a foreign parent company. Okay, that's what happens for Flipkart, is kind of saving billions, okay, and instead of the Indian business, the foreign holding companies sold. Okay, so this is it is like, an interesting tax structure that happens. Okay, so when you are having an Indian company and Indian assets being sold to another company, okay, then that business is in India, and when it is sold, you get the profit of that sale. Therefore, you will be subject to a capital gains tax in India. But the way it will happen is that there will be an Indian company, the holding company will be in the foreign jurisdiction. Nothing will happen to the Indian company, but the parent itself will be sold to someone else. So you are simply out of the whole transaction. Okay, this is what is tax structuring that happens around, having holding companies out of India. Okay, so if we look ahead, given exorbitant taxes in India, okay, on both the consumption as on income, it makes little sense to house your international business out of India. And think of this like, there will be companies which will put a hub out of India, okay, and from that hub, they will be serving other countries. Okay, so from India, it's just an Indian entity. Another entity will be based in the likes of, let's say, UAE. And in UAE, it will be what is called as an offshore company. So they are not going to sell anything in that country itself, but from that entity, they will sell it to lots of other countries in the world. So your international business, you will house completely out of India, okay, and you will get away from the exorbitant taxes that are applicable to you in India. Loads of questions. What about route, automatic and approval? We are not going into technicalities. Law varies from country to country. How can these professionals who were having knowledge of only one country go global? We are going to talk about how. Okay, how are the coming years going to change role of like? So this is what we are saying, like, because we have that kind of technology which is usable across the globe. Okay, people are providing technology which can be used out of the globe. That's the reason why we are able to actually go ahead and establish presence outside India. Okay, even in a situation where where we are not of that level or that scale. Cover things which we have not read in our academics. We know why to go abroad, how to go abroad. We will come to that. See, there is a time and there is a flow with everything. Okay, unless you understand the context of why it is happening, you will not be able to make the understanding clear of how. Okay, because that how is very closely, what is your objective of moving out of India. All your decisions that follow on the how will be shaped and will be based on why you are doing it. Okay. What changed in a big way in 2021? Like, we had a situation where people were completely working online, and people found that, and people thought it was possible now to have businesses which are completely operating out of a computer. Okay. So for example, if I tell you this 𝗨𝐶𝑖 is completely remote. Okay. We are operating in a completely remote manner. Okay. All employees are remote working. Okay. What changed in a big way? This. Okay. Services can be provided to services can now be provided to the foreign companies by agencies or remote employees from India. This is one thing that is happening other low cost jurisdictions in case of digital businesses, which was not possible before. And people came to know this. Okay, people realized this. Otherwise, there will be lots of people who thought or believed psychologically that it is kind of not possible. How can you operate without an office, and how can you do business in such a manner which is completely online without having to meet the people, without having to get in touch with clients? How can you do all of these? People were thinking it not possible to be done. But the pandemic kind of made people realize that this may be possible. In fact, it forced them to find out the ways to do this. Okay, because they couldn't survive otherwise. If they didn't go online, they wouldn't be able to survive. So they came to know that this can happen. Okay. Now, for tax purposes, the Indian government looks at where the directors are located. One point, and also it looks at where really the decisions are taken. Okay, or it is a point on where you are looking at what is the place of effective management. So where are the management decisions taken? Where is the company, or where are the other entities controlled from? Okay. So even if a company is in Dubai, but directors live mostly in India, then the taxman will consider that the management of the company is happening from India. Like I said, they will check where is the place of effective management of that company. Where is that entity controlled from? Okay. So you have to know all of these things. Okay. How does work from home culture impact taxation system? So whatever you are employing, whether you are working physically or you are working remotely, okay, you are either an employee or you are a director. Also, payments are like that. So suppose foreign companies send their Indian employees back to India and pay them in dollars or rupees. How do you think this scenario will play out? So it's based on where the company is an employer. Okay, so from where is the company paying the salary, dependent upon that, it will be worked out. And even not like salaries, there will be cases where people who are working remotely will be put down as consultants. Okay. Indian space startup can enhance cost effectiveness. I can't comment specifically on space startups. Okay. Work to build cryptocurrency. There is a startup that is like that. I can't think of its names. It is some name with a coin itself, but it is in that domain. Okay. How can we make a career if we want to move abroad? All those questions will come. Bitcoin is the cryptocurrency. I'm talking of the company. CoinX or something its name is. Okay. So, like I'm saying, the Indian government will think of where is the place of effective management that is being held. So, as someone who is a lawyer or a company secretary, you have to understand these tax implications. Okay, you have to know how the Indian government determines what is a place of effective management. Okay, so this is one reason also why Indian companies are looking to expand. Like I said, they have lots of people who are investing in the company from abroad. So they not only have availability of the capital, they also have the availability of the expertise. Okay, for people who are coming, they have that kind of guidance that is available, because these entities have a stake. They will guide, they will ensure that the company in which they have invested these massive sums earns really well. They'll guide them how to expand abroad. Okay, like Fresh to Home, which got a huge funding. And now, like, with the help of that funding, it actually got a funding from UAE, and it set up a presence in Dubai. So, like that, they have the money now. Like we only used to think in terms of we need to grow to a scale, earn money, and then only we can go. That's not the case anymore, because you can have a foreign investor give you that money to set up a presence abroad. Okay. Tech companies also have a lower capital requirement. Like I said, completely working remotely. Just think of this. You don't need any office. You don't have any plant and machinery. You don't have any equipment. You don't have any of those expenses. Okay. So, which is why it is possible for them to grow really faster. So, there is very much less sunk cost in these companies. Okay. It is all operations based. Okay, some questions here. How to approach venture capitals? A topic for a boot camp which we are going to have on M&A at the end of February or so. Please note, we're going to discuss the investment transactions and M&A transactions there. Some tech solutions are also globally relevant, like you said, like Zomato or OYO or Make My Trip or Postman Reco, which I said, like, as I said, they set up this project, and in a little while, they had people from across the board reaching out and trying out that product and giving, like, good reviews, and someone even sending in money, although they had put it up completely for free. So this kind of like situations can happen. The products that they build are globally relevant, right? And these are a few Indian industries which will go international in a big way in the years to come. Someone was asking me how the market is going to look. This is how. So space tech, okay, Dipanshu. Telemedicine, yeah, huge. It will happen. Vaccine and pharma, okay, this will also happen. As you know, we are already doing things like that. SaaS, so many companies which are based in India are, software as a service entities, like, these kind of service providers. E-commerce will go global. Manufacturing can also go global if people are looking to set up or take benefit of some cheap costs, like, setting up manufacturing in the likes of China. Quick service restaurants, this can also go global. Ayurveda and traditional medicine, this has always been like an international favorite coming from India. Digital media, advertising and digital marketing, IT services, automobile, so many of them. EdTech will also go global. Like you are seeing Byju's, White Hat Juniors, the like they are thinking of having or serving, people outside India. Any others? Do you think that there are some other sectors which are actually likely? Cloud computing can be one. AI related services will be one. Any others that you guys can think of? drafting of multinational contracts. Guys, we will come to all of these things. Financial services, well, kind of. So, fintech is definitely in that zone. Fintech can go global. Finance combined with technology, for sure, it can. Paralegal services. Can you unmute me, please? You can unmute yourself, Sushil. You are not, or you want to speak. Okay. You can unmute yourself, Sushil.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Sushil.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Now, supposing the parent company or the holding company,
Can't hear you clearly.
yeah, parent company,
Sushil, your voice is cracking. Can you
what
kindly
is
put the question down in the chat, please? Guys, we will allow a dedicated time for questions. Okay, because otherwise it can go into a completely different zone. Sustainable services. I am not sure what that means. So while Sushil is putting his question, so which major companies established offshore presence and how did they do it? So like if you look at the traditional zone, as I mentioned this, yeah, we will answer all of these career related questions at some point of time, but let's just look at why this is happening. Unless we understand why, as I said, we are not be going to be able to understand how lawyers or company secretaries can support. We will not be able to bottom line that very clearly unless we understand why this is happening. Okay, because there are very, very connected roles to the why. Okay. Agricultural agri-tech, yeah, well, why not? Agri-tech can also definitely be there. Okay. So initially they were like, having these things. So these huge entities like you have ONGC Videsh, which is actually like, an investee company of Gale and all. Then you have Tata Steel, you have HCL Technologies, the usual, they will enter into technical collaborations. Then they will form JVs abroad and then they can also acquire entities abroad. This is the gradual manner in which they they progressed. And startups, like I said, Zoho and Flipkart, these kind of people will flip abroad, and for the reasons that we discussed, that's why they will do it. Now, this also we discussed, many startup entities are funded by the non-resident investors. Which are the most popular offshore destinations? Why do you think that is the case? Because these will bottom line what you need to know about, right? Tomorrow, the company which you are working with can go to these jurisdictions. Which ones do you think are popular? Which one do you think are the popular jurisdictions? Can people put this in the chat? Companies or clients which you are advising can move into these destinations. You need to know where they are going to move, right? Then you will be able to support Mauritius and Japan. Okay. Malta, Caribbean, Dubai, Singapore, Cyprus, Singapore, Canada. Why? Why do you think it is these jurisdictions? Why do you think they are going to go into these jurisdictions? Tax system is a huge reason why people move. Low taxes is a huge reason. So therefore you have to think of these jurisdictions, which are the jurisdictions which enable this. Okay, and then that are the cases where, or that are the countries where you are going to see. Middle East is UAE and all of that, right? Dubai is the choice. We yesterday did a webinar on people or the companies expanding to Dubai, but this is a choice for an international presence by many Indian companies because of the strategic location. There is a huge Indian population there, and of course, the tax-free regime. Okay. Singapore, Mauritius, Cayman Islands, these are all tax havens. So yeah, you want to be there primarily for taxation purposes, but there can be reasons like this, which is like, a strategic location, or it can be, because there is a large Indian population also, which you can use. Financial secrecy and better treatment of corporates, better treatment. So better business environment available to, investors. Singapore, it's a corruption-free, market-based economy, low corporate tax, and no capital gains tax. Capital gains tax is a huge attraction. And then also, like, the startups kind of feel that there is a rule-based operation. So we will be able to be in a little bit of peace as to how to operate. We are not going to be subject to red tape. And every second step that we want to take is not going to meet with a lot of bureaucracy and roadblocks. That is something also which people think of. If the holding company is sold in another country along with Indian entity, what is the need to report it to the taxman? There is no need. And that is the reason why, like, people make structures like this. Okay, we're going to talk about the tax structures in detail, how we work. Okay, so let's not digress from the topic, guys. The kind of questions that I am seeing are in a very different direction as compared to what we are discussing. So it will be really helpful if you focus why, like, this is all related to regulations. You will be able to see the regulations like this. You will be able to see why it's like, a low corporate tax jurisdiction. You will have to find that out. You will have to find whether that jurisdiction has capital gains tax. Okay, when someone is looking to expand abroad. Delaware, incorporation capital of the world. Like we were saying China as the factory, Dubai as the bazaar, and then this one is a place where there is, like, an incorporation capital. Many entities will go and incorporate into Delaware. Lots of business friendly laws. They will not have people coming down to you or breathing down your neck. So Japan, there are lots of things in Japan. It's the third largest economy. Okay, and it's second largest computer and telecommunications market. Many companies which are in telecom, like I had a client which was dealing in telecom equipment. Okay, so now these kind of companies might find it suitable even to move into these jurisdictions. So there are quite a few advantages here that we have with Japan. I'm not going to go into the detail, but Japan can be one of the jurisdictions which people can find attractive for certain reasons. Okay. Can we act as operate as legal cell or legal partner of international companies having business branches? Keynote to approach. We're going to talk about this tomorrow, where we are talking of how foreign companies come to India. Right now, we are talking of Indian startups, the new kids on the block going out of India. Okay. Rapidly growing favorable ecosystem for tech startups. These are all advantages for Japan. Then there is Brazil. Okay. So it is the seventh largest global population and a fast growing middle class. It is a diverse. This is another benefit. Okay. It's a part of the common market. So it has a lot of other countries being available to it. So it's a common market. Okay. All of these, Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, Venezuela, all of these are there. Okay. So there is free movement, like how you have EU, there is a free movement in this economies or these countries. So it can make available all of these markets to you if you are operating in Brazil. It's also a part of BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Okay, that's the union which is the BRICS. There are ample opportunities to invest. This is something also that people really like in foreign jurisdictions, that these entities allow 100% of foreign ownership of an existing entity in that country. Now in India, we have 100% foreign ownership, permitted in certain sectors, restricted in certain sectors, things like that. Now, what are the challenges faced by the CEOs when their company expands globally? And this is where you are going to come to help. If you understand where your client or employer is going to face a hedge, okay, what are the questions, what are the challenges that they are going to hit, that's where you can come to support. Okay, someone in a problem is who needs you. If like if things were going completely smooth their way, they had no issues or nothing coming up, no questions, no challenges, why would they come to you? Okay, they come to you because this is what they are going to face. How to decide which country is the best for your entity to establish a presence in? Okay, they are facing this question. How to choose the mode of entry into that country? Is a physical presence needed? Do I need to actually set up a company? Okay, and remember that these entrepreneurs are tech guys. Okay, they are engineers, they are not lawyers, and they are not CAs and not CSs. So this is the question that they will hit. Okay, what is the mode of the entry I need to get into? Is a physical presence required there? How to decide whether to just have a branch or incorporate a separate entity? Okay, they will have all of these questions, and it is you who will have to think and advise them on these kinds of things. How to determine the amount of investment required to, and how to make such funds available. Okay, these kinds of questions they will face. How to decide who will be managing the international presence. Are local partners required? So if I go out and put up an entity in another country, do I necessarily need to have a local sponsor or a host or someone who is going to join hands with me to put a presence there, or can I just go completely of myself? These are the kinds of questions they will hit. Okay. How should you shape transactions with that office or entity? How will you be taxed? Another prime question. How am I going to form transactions? Can I give something as a loan? Like, entrepreneurs will talk like this, founders will talk like this. I want to send this much money to the entity there in that other country. I don't know how to do it. You tell me. Okay. So this is the kind of things that they will hit. How to find out all the regulatory approvals that are required, and to be sure that this is all that's needed and there is no more for me to start operating. Okay. Yeah, we will come to all of these questions. How to staff the office or the entity? You depute employees from India, and if you do, does that attract labor laws in that country? Okay. What are the kind of people I need to put into that business? Should you keep the income in that country, or do you repatriate it back to India? What works for me better? Do you need to purchase property there, and can you? Okay, if you're looking to set up an office, how will you ensure that the required approvals or compliances are met in that country on an ongoing basis? So not only at the time of setup, but on an ongoing basis, what will you do to ensure that you don't have a lapse and that everything is met? Okay, these kind of questions they will face. And why are the answers to these questions so difficult to find? Then, like, why do we get stuck? Okay, so many questions are there in the brains of the people, and we need consultants to help answer all of these questions. But why is this relatively difficult? Like, why can't you have all of these knowledge available to you so easily? Okay, because multi-jurisdictional knowledge is not easily available. You cannot find most people who are skilled in this area, okay, who know where to look for when the business is going abroad, who know what to consider, who know how to link the relevant regulations to the objective of the entrepreneur, okay, or to the objective of the founder. We go and talk of कि मुझे कैसे करना है, or how we can do this thing or this transaction, but we don't look at first we have to link that how with why are we doing that transaction. After that we can have 2 3 alternatives which we are going to be able to evaluate and chase to what extent those alternatives meet the objective. Okay, so this skill is rare. Okay, there are very few people who are skilled in this kind of area. Like if you want to enter into another jurisdiction, you cannot find that kind of skill in your, like, nearby law firm kind of thing. It is not easy to find. Fees of consultants who possess this knowledge are extremely prohibitive. Go to 𝗵𝘁𝗿𝗍𝗍 Associates and small startup, which is actually looking to go global. And like, it has just started, like I said, the kind of postman, 3 people who are there. Okay, and they are looking to go global. And do you think they can afford the fees of the likes of Cam and Sam and 𝗵𝘁𝗿𝗍𝗍 and all of that? It's going to be very, very difficult. It is very difficult to find an appropriate consultant in the country of entry. Now, I don't have the relevant skill here. I don't know whom to go and ask in the country of entry also. So I have no clue whom I should go to and ask for guidance. Okay, so entrepreneurs who are in this zone will be totally lost. And it is possible for you to tap this market. What is the cost if there is a mistake? So you just think of what are the heavy stakes here. Okay, if someone makes a mistake, if something happens wrong, what is the cost? Operating in UAE in businesses without securing appropriate license. And this is actually, this is based on news where people who were marketing online and selling online in the UAE, okay, they were fined this kind of amount. Just look at the amount there. It's 5 lakh AED. Okay, it is really prohibitive. It will go into close to 1 crore of rupees, I think. Okay, if you look at 20 rupees, 19 to 20 rupees, 19 rupees plus something at the AED, this is where it will go to. Massive setback. Furnishing false particulars to a foreign regulator. You are in for a staggering penalty in such cases. You furnish false particulars to the local 𝗵𝗍 who are in that situation. Okay, out of the country, you furnish false particulars, you can be in for a lot of problems. There'll be heavy penalties for non-disclosures. You were supposed to disclose something and you didn't. Heavy penalties. What is expected of in-house counsels and lawyers? Okay, at this time, someone who is based inside the company, someone who is advising the specific company at the time of marketing and market entry, what is expected, what is the founder looking for from you, okay, which you will have to provide. They will want you to understand the legal system of those countries, know how to find, read and interpret the law. They will want you to do this. Don't think the questions can be answered in general. They can be answered. Okay, they will change in according the situation, definitely. But first you have to analyze and know that situation in order to be able to answer. If you don't even know what question is, then we will face the problem. So understand the legal systems. This is what will be required for you to do. You will have to know how to find and read and interpret the law in that country, okay, where you are going to venture into. You will have to understand the tax implications of the transaction. This is the number one thing or number one reason why the business is going. So if that is the object, something that is happening, then you need to know, right? You have to know the basics of the DTAAs or double taxation avoidance agreements beforehand, so that you don't have to squander when you need to give quick insights. Okay, right from the point of time when the business is considering this. Okay, so specific portal for that, there is no specific portal for one country. You have to look at, different countries will have different places. You will require to have some understanding and preferably some network and relationship of the local consultants who perform the work in that countries. Okay, and I will tell you this how it works. Okay, from my own experience, I had advised a client on putting up a subsidiary entity in Singapore. Okay, and there was a particular consultant who used to provide the services to the client. Like in Singapore, there were certain compliance or something that was required, so that consultant was used to do all that, the coordination and work that was there in Singapore for him. Now when I was looking at the global compliance for one of my employers, we landed into a situation where someone who used to do overall compliance across all the countries was now exorbitantly costly for us. We couldn't continue with them, and therefore we were required to install and put into a system where we had someone from the local office actually coordinate with a local consultant to ensure the compliance. Okay, and now when because I had this relationship, because I had this network with this consultant before, since I had worked for a client, that is why I could say that these people are doing the work. I have seen their work, and I have seen how they kind of respond to requests, how they pick up everything, and I was able to recommend them. And my management was very happy with that, because not only were they really cost effective and efficient, they they would keep you updated on the different things as well. Someone is asking a question here. Like here we have barracks. Is there any codified law of books for these guidelines? We have to ask Google for this law. How you get the skills? Okay, so how do you know? How to know of different countries while you are in India? We will come to that. Okay, so we'll come to how you can get that skill. It is very important question. Of course, like I know that I need this, but how do I do this? But let's first know what exactly I will need in my armor, right? So we have so far talked about, you need to understand legal systems, taxation, you need to understand consultants. So we will tick off what do we need in our armor, and then we will talk of how do we get those things into our armor. Okay, so you will have to brief the consultants effectively for obtaining quality insights within a budget. Budget is something which is really crucial for an entity to move. We will come to that. There is no one book or literature, but we will come to the different methods in which you can get this. Okay, sure, we will talk about that. Okay, so you will have to have the ability for that. So now one thing is that you will need to know and find out what can be the kind of budget, okay, that the entrepreneur will be operating with, and you will have to find out how you can operate within that budget. Okay, this is one thing that you will need. You will need to know how to monitor the quality of the outcome of the consultant. So naturally You will have to be aware of how the relationship with them is to be managed. How are the agreements drafted? How do you approve the kind of work that they do? Do you actually go and let them do anything that is necessary, and then they come and charge you a surprise amount? How does that happen? Okay, we have done a webinar on how to manage external consultants. It's right there on YouTube, on the 𝘆𝗵𝘂𝗀𝗲 YouTube channel. You can find out, how do you actually control the work or manage the work of external consultants. You will have to lead the global legal strategy from the point of planning, selecting the country, like you will evaluate what kind of laws it has, selecting a business structure, saying this is the most expensive structure, this is the least expensive structure, this is the structure which has the maximum compliance required, this has the least compliance required, this is a structure where you do not have flexibility and you have to act according to the law, this is a structure where you have a little bit of flexibility in operation. Okay. So all of these things, like if it's in India, you will be thinking that there is definitely less compliance, more flexibility, everything in an LLP kind of structure than in a company structure. Okay. So like this, you have to find out a proper business structure that works according to the laws of that country. You have to find out how the IP gets protected. And this is massively relevant. Okay, I will come to what can happen if you lose out on this. Okay, so to the enforcement stage, when there is an issue, money recovery or contract or IP enforcement or arbitration, you have to be aware of what is going to be the plan if these kinds of things happen. We are entering this country, we are choosing a particular business form. Now if we are entering into business contracts in this country and people don't pay up, then what is the mechanism that we will have to use? All of these things will be pre-planned. You will not wait for that default in payment to happen to find out what are the money recovery mechanisms there. I'm giving you points which you will need to note down, and you will have to find out what you need to know. I will also give you a document, like these slides will not be shared, but I will also tell you where you will look for these kind of points. Okay. So contract or IP enforcement, international arbitration. Now, if there is a dispute that arises, then what is going to happen? All of these will be strategized beforehand, and you will need this knowledge, these points about any country of entry in your armor. Okay, as someone who's advising a business, have a proper plan for assuring appropriate directors and officers liability insurance. If you are at the hub, you may even be yourself asked to be on the boards of subsidiary entities. I have seen this happen in numerous cases. If you are based at the center, the in-house counsel will be one person, probably be one of the persons who is put on the board of all subsidiary entities. Okay. So it will be like one country director, the one legal person from the center who is right there. And then there can be someone else from another part in that region. This will be kind of board structures people can use. So if if it is a council at a hub level, even they can be asked to be on the boards of subsidiary entities. And when you have your directors become directors in so many different countries, you have to ensure that there is adequate directors and officers liability insurance. In fact, that will be one of the first questions people who are newly inducted and are going to be appointed on the boards of entities in different countries will ask you. Do you have adequate directors and officers liability insurance? They will ask you this question. So this is something that you have to find out. How can you get it? Can you get it at a hub level where it will be applicable to all the subsidiaries? If there is any IP enforcement, would you name some books and literature to know about it? Would you recommend books? We will come to all of these things where how can you get the skills? Okay. I know people, it is not easy to find. It's not an easy skill to build. So we will come to this, right? A lawyer can help negotiate clauses and terms of the agreement which can benefit the business and reduce overall accountability of the business. And they can ensure foolproof drafting and review of cross border contracts, considering all adverse scenarios. So, you will need in your armor really good negotiation and contract drafting skills, because here you are talking contracts which are of huge values, and these are cross border contracts, so it goes into a very different zone. Lawyers and CS can bridge the gap between investors and business advisors. Can you see this? This is a very wide scene. Like, you have on one point investors from outside putting money into the company, and then you have like consultants in the external market whom you are dealing with and trying to plan the transactions. Okay, so if you as a hub, as someone who's in the middle, are able to negotiate terms with both these people, you can be a revenue generator for the business. Normally, someone who is like, in the legal department or in a company secretarial department will be in a zone where they are a cost. Okay, or if even if you are advising, you will kind of like a cost, unless you are in a sales or marketing which is like a hardcore revenue generation from it. They will think of you as a cost. But if you are able to do this, okay, be at the hub and negotiate things with an investor and with a business advisor on the other side, okay, you are a revenue generator. They will look at you with a very different eye after that. Lawyers and CAs can help you choose the most favorable jurisdiction in case of non-compliance of contract. They can also insert clauses around international arbitration or mediation with suitable of authority which is fast and cost effective. International commercial arbitration, you would have to be aware of how that works. Okay, are there institutions around the world which might be a better place for arbitration? Like, you had a US McDonald's main entity and the Indian JV partner in India, and like they had given their arbitration to 𝗟𝐶IA in UK. So you have to be aware of what is the most suitable institution or mechanism for dispute resolution and arbitration and mediation, which is fast and cost effective. Okay, you have to ensure that group level policies are installed at the country level. Questions here. How can we help them negotiate generally? Companies have their playbook, but in case it is not there, any set guidelines or regulatory as per APEC or EMEA countries. So please enlighten. So, like, how you are, see, negotiation is not something that is a textbook. Negotiations are skills. Okay, so how are you going to ensure a win-win? And there is a lot of science and art around how things are negotiated. Okay, this is already done. What will be expected of you as a company secretary? If you are a company secretary, you can be hands-on involved in registering entities with multiple authorities. Okay, you will need to be an ace in dealing with registration procedures, ensuring that these are smoothly completed and being able to answer any queries raised by the authorities outside on time. And I had one really painful experience about this when I was actually helping, like, a company. There were certain, they were operating in a zones that please tell us everything that is needed well in advance so that we can manage these things properly. And in one case, I actually missed out something because of my lack of knowledge. Okay, at that point of time. And I'm telling you what kind of situation that this can place you in. So the person who had actually recommended me to that client or to that company was in a very bad shape, because, like, he will be that I recommended you, thinking that you have the absolute knowledge of how these things happen, and I managed and I spoke to them accordingly. And now if you are coming back and telling me that there are these many things more required, then I kind of lose face with them. So these situations can happen. You have to be an ace in dealing with these kinds of things. You have to be upfront and tell them what is going to be required. Okay. Yeah. Okay, for instance, in the US, you might have to deal with the Office of the Secretary of State, IRS, or USPTO, or Department of Labor. In UK, you would have to deal with Companies House, HMRC for Texas, Intellectual Property Office for IP, and the Health and Safety Executive for employment related matters. If you're working with a large MNC, it's not just the filing related compliance that's important. You will have to ensure that the group internal policies are applicable across the group, and that's very relevant for them. Okay. Thank you, Amin. So, if you are at the center, there can be many businesses and legally required committees for which you will be acting as secretary. You will have to ensure that they act in accordance with the terms. It can be like a mind-boggling number of entities, mind-boggling number of committees that you will have to manage. Okay, it is not easy. I am telling you, it is not easy. Now, where do we currently stand? Now we have to find what is the current situation with us, then we can bridge the gap. Everyone is in this zone that how do I get the knowledge, right? Because there is a hesitation on advising a company on market entry because we don't have any idea of the legal systems in the countries. So how do I get it? Like there is a hesitation. I can't go and take on a client today or tomorrow and just say that I am going to tell you how to enter US because I'll hesitate because I don't know, right? They use the lack of being legally qualified there as a reason. This can sometimes be a situation like, you will say that I'm not qualified to work in the US or in Dubai, but that is not helping. At the bottom of the day, you are losing the client and the employer is not getting the thing that they want out of you. The CEO is looking for guidance on the planning and decision making, which an informed lawyer can give. And they are not looking at legal advice at the initial stage. They are not looking for how the clause in the contract is going to be drafted. Before that, they have to answer the question, should I enter this country or not? That's the advice they are looking for. Owing to lack of knowledge, you can end up giving very less input because it is not easily available. How to find it? It's difficult. CEOs obtain quotes from local consultants and select a service provider with limited understanding. These are tech guys. They have no clue. If they are not getting it from us, then they're going to go and they're going to ask for a service provider there. And the choice that they'll make will be with very less understanding on how to choose, right? And Indian legal and compliance team is not able to monitor or ensure successful outcomes. These kinds of things happen. Okay, and you can face problems. It's difficult to afford a full-time foreign in-house counsel for them and even to build a trust. So a lawyers and CS could have done a much better job if they were familiar with the legal system. Just think of it, if you were aware of everything, you are up and you are telling the CEO, this is how it happens. What is the kind of, image that entrepreneur or that businessman or that CEO will carry in your mind of you? That this person is reliable, this person is resourceful, and I can get the answers that I'm looking for. Okay. Many aspects are common across multiple systems. We will come to that. Lot of standardization has taken place, but just knowing that is not sufficient. So you have to go down to the municipal level and know the local law. And the lack of that leads to one or more of the following mistakes. So what can happen if you don't know that? There can be legal violations. There can be wrong choice of entity, which drastically increases the compliance costs or tax outcomes. There can be failure to protect or enforce IP. Okay. And here there is a case of like that Supermax. I can say that I was in Ireland, so there was always this case. There's a brand called Big Mac which actually McDonald owned, and like the Supermax, which is like that local thing in Ireland, is using this, and now they fail to enforce this before the US intellectual property of sorry EU intellectual property office, because like they had failed to ensure that like that thing was used or demonstrated. There was a demonstrated use of this over the 5 years. This case happened, like you can check. Okay. This webinar is live on YouTube. You can find there can be regulatory tussles. Now, where does that leave the CEO? In the lurch if these kinds of things are happening, and there's a lot of investment at stake. So, in example, in the US, your expenses can be up to 10 or 16 times higher. So, while it is easier to earn, if you lose massively. Okay. So that kind of situation can happen. And if there is a mistake now, then the company may not even try venturing abroad after that. So one of the dreams of the people can be shattered. Now, what kind of decisions will be required at the time and what kind of role you can play in it? Okay, we'll skim through the decisions very quickly. How to figure out an appropriate business structure in a foreign jurisdiction. Either there can be branch offices or representative offices, or there can be full-fledged entities. So you have to figure out that what will work. How to decide the composition of the management of the foreign entity. Okay, what should be the appropriate composition, because there can be specific requirements in relation to the the composition of the board in that specific country. How to understand the foreign legal system and hierarchy of foreign courts. How to work with the key regulators. Like for Dubai, it's a Department of Economic Development. In Singapore, it's ACRA. In Delaware, it's Division of Corporations. In Brazil, it's the Commercial Registry of Brazil. Okay, all of these regulators are there. In South Africa, it is the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, CIPC. So how to structure intercorporate relationships between the foreign entity and Indian company. And there can be lots of issues that happen. How to work with foreign consultants, we already talked about. How to infuse capital. So many questions that are there. Let's come to like, how you can get this kind of skill, because that is, that is what is something that we need to talk about. So what does market entry related work involve for lawyers and CS? Okay, we will come to that. And like this is what kind of fees can you get if you help a client with market entry related work? Can someone have this idea? What kind of fees can you get if you are advising a client with entering into, let us say, Dubai or Singapore? What kind of fees can you get if you are skilled in this area? Okay, easily it can go into a lakh or more. Okay, if you are really skilled and know how someone should go through. In Indian rupees, it can go in this zone. Does knowledge of market entry related work, if you're not employed and if you're not advising and you are employed, does it enable you to progress in the corporate hierarchy? An international expansion translates into substantial money for the company when that is done right. And so when you have been the strategist, you turn into a revenue generator, as we discussed. Now let's come to this question, because many people are anxious. How can you acquire the skills for performing market entry related work? This is my number one question sitting here in India. How do I come to know about this? So let's look at a few different ways. One is, of course, you can engage yourself and immerse yourself in extensive research. You go into thinking about a particular jurisdiction and you decide 5 or 6 jurisdictions of your own, and you go into finding out what can be the what can be a place to register companies in this jurisdiction, what is the place to register intellectual property, what is the place to register for taxes. You find everything out, and you find also like, research and dig out the procedures. But the kind of time each country can take in this case, okay, the kind of time each country can take in doing this is massive. Okay, and not only that, you can never be sure that this is the most comprehensive thing. Now there is nothing much more that I need to know. You can never be sure that it is comprehensive. When your employer or client needs to expand, you can't go back to check at that time that country's systems. There's simply no times. And even the business heads will beat you at this because they are often very well traveled and hence they know more. Now they have gone there and they have met people in Singapore and talked to all of them and found out a lot. So they will come and they'll tell the management that this is what happens. And you will not be able to do that because you have never visited or traveled to that country, and you didn't have like, the chance to actually do the research and dig out all of those things. Getting to work with firms advising on international market related work. So you will say that, okay, let me find out a really good firm, let's say 𝗵𝘁𝘗𝗿𝗃 and Associates, and let me try and go and work with them, and that's how I will train myself, that I get to know what kind of work gets to be done at the time of market entry. But that's obviously like, because they are very few. Do you think that it is so easy to really get into firms like that? It is extremely difficult because people are in a lot of competition to work with these kinds of firms. And it's not just one thing, they are working in so many different directions that it is very difficult that you actually score employment and go on and you try to like, get a place in that firm and learn really something. Okay, they will also not train you at the cost of clients. Okay, they are not there to train people, especially when they are billing their clients certain time and they need to get some things sorted in a deadline. And international business matters are like that. Everything happens very fast. You need to do things very, very fast. So they are not going to train you at the cost of their clients, where the time is really, really important for them. If you think you can be trained by working as a junior lawyer with an MNC, so you will say that, okay, I will go and work with an in-house counsel in an MNC as a junior lawyer. I will tell you that I have been in this position where, like, there has been an in-house counsel and I was working at an assistant position to that person. Okay, and the person I was working with is, they will give you a specific task and they will want you to work within a box of that task, and that task has to be completely completed to their satisfaction. They're not going to sit down and explain you the entire nuances of the transaction on why the company is doing what it is doing. They hardly have time to write emails. I had a GC whom I was reporting to. The lady's brain was going 1,000 times faster than her fingers. So the email messages that I will get will be jumbled up. I wouldn't even be able to make a sense of, the email messages. Forget about asking her to actually sit down and tell me how these things happen. Okay. They usually have no time to do that. And what kind of work they give you is a question. They'll give you something that you can immediately finish. If they have to train you on something, they have no time. And this is out of personal experience because I have faced this situation. Okay, they do not have that kind of time to sit down and explain you and train you. What comes to you will be what is something that you can immediately do with and work with. So we searched, we searched for many places that, like you, that can I find a book, can I find a portal, can I find a course and everything where we can comprehensively train lawyers and company secretaries in the Indian laws which hold relevance for international transactions and laws for other countries which are relevant for a market entry. We searched, we searched for all of this and we could find none. The best that we could find, the best things that we could find had 4 5 kind of elements. Okay, they had the legal systems in different countries, so they kind of like, have something which will brief you about a legal system in lots of different countries. and then they will brief you a little bit about the taxation in different countries. Okay, they'll give you an idea that is like that. Okay, so and like in many cases there was an either or, so they will brief you about either taxation or arbitration. Okay, and maybe they will brief you about like something that is relevant to some country on a generalized basis and all. This is what we could find when we massively searched for this, and this is what we could find, and we couldn't find anything that was comprehensive enough. Okay, that what is called a comprehensive training, we could not find that. Someone has some questions here? Like you, we really search for this. Laksha, it's no joke. We searched. We actually looked, that can we find something that is like this? Books, portals, courses, we searched for lots of different things. And we couldn't find anything that had all the elements. Like, it would have one part, or it would have some another part, or it would have some combination, but it wouldn't be comprehensive to have everything. So we built one. Okay, because we found that this thing is not there, we found a gap, so we built that kind of course. We said that let's actually combine these elements, okay, which will be required, so we built this. Now, even if you haven't worked with MNC, this can help in getting you international opportunities for foreign paralegal work, which will prepare you for such roles. Let me show you what that is about. Okay, when I'm saying that it is comprehensive, I'm not joking, because we search for what are the kind of elements we can put it in. Okay, it's not that we just chanced upon one of the days and we thought that let's just make this. Okay, that is not how this was done. We actually looked for where we can find this. Okay, so this is what it is, international business laws. And if we see the content here, okay, I'm just going to show, and this is something that can help you if you plan to take the route of self-research. Introduction to legal systems. We could find this in some courses. Okay, this was there. Legal systems around the world, which are common law and civil law, like basic principles, ADR methods, what are the different types of disputes you can encounter, or what resources can you use to find about the legal systems in a country. We found that. We found this in some courses. This was there. Okay. And then we look at international conflict negotiation and resolution. This we could not find in any places which was dealt with properly. Negotiation. Someone asked, what is negotiation and how can you deal? How can you negotiate? Okay, so this is not like a bargaining that happens. How do you negotiate with people? What are the techniques that you use? Okay, and this is something we did not find commonly in most places. If there was there, it was in some management related kind of textbooks kinds of things, but it did not deal with hardcore case studies or things where someone would say that, okay, look, this kind of technique was used in this case. Okay, we did not find this, and this is what we have actually put, because like I said, between investors and advisors or different parties, this is very relevant. Okay, we couldn't find this. Contract drafting, we could find drafting courses of their own, like, but not inside a course which is also based on international business. It would be a separate, you would have to do two, three, four different kind of courses to arrive at this. So that is something, and I can tell you that the elements here are from our drafting diploma, which is of course something that is massively successful. It's one of our best selling courses, but it is right in here for you in this course. Okay, international commercial arbitration, like I said, this we found. We had legal systems and this in some courses, but again on a very theoretical kind of basis. If we particularly worked as CLs or legal officer in MNC based in India, but dealing with laws of particular country where its office is based and no exposure to Indian laws, Won't we limit ourselves career wise, as we won't be able to go to any Indian companies? In fact, the rate at which Indian companies are expanding abroad, there will be a demand for you like there will be no others. There will be loads of lawyers who are aware of the Indian laws and are competing, right? You bring on an added advantage which the other people do not have. Is the ICA London certification got any merit? So I will tell you this. ICS from India was cleared ICSA London as a future overseas. No, they don't. Okay, I am holding the ICSA degree and I can tell you that no, they don't. Unless you actually go and land there, you know, very difficult for you to get into it. From here, if you are applying to London law firms or London companies, you're not going to hit with any success. Very difficult, very difficult. Why? Because it is not a skill shortage in that country. So why will they import? Okay, they have abundant people in that country available to do that work. Okay, but here, if you are talking that, if you're going and telling someone that I not only know about the Indian work, I know about Dubai, I know about Brazil, I know about Japan, I know about China, I know all of these countries. Okay, and then you go and make a statement that I know all of these things. Do you think it will make a difference? Even if you are not qualified, but you know all of these things. Okay. So think of this. So international commercial arbitration is there, which we have. Doing business with China. Okay, a huge thing. China, whatever pandemic, coronavirus, whatever people may say, 2020 still saw the highest FDI in China. Okay, so it is not something that is going to go away very easily. Okay, UK, and then United States of America, Middle East, UAE, which is the first place people go to, Japan, and Brazil. We have so many countries. And after that, we're going to add the likes of Singapore, South Africa, okay, all the usual suspects which, you know, Indian entities expand to. So there is going to be close to 20 jurisdictions being added slowly in this course as we progress, and the access to the content in that course, and we never stop people from attending classes also. Okay, extend the access to the content that is here in this course. This is going to be there for a period of 3 years. You have access for a period of 3 years. Okay, so that is one thing as we progress. This is what it's about. International taxation also will be available as a separate course. So now if you want to do this, you know, you want to get this at other places, in the minimum you will have to do 10 different courses if you want this level of comprehensive thing at one place. Okay, in the minimum it will be 10. Okay, if we are looking at what are the available resources. How to enter a foreign market. Strategy is not covered anywhere. Okay, in MBA you will find MBA textbooks and all which will talk of these kinds of things, how people entered, how they made laws, all of these things will be there, but nobody will actually sit down and teach and explain or have things like that. You will have to go through books and books to actually arrive at things. Okay, so these kinds of things are right there in this course, and as I am saying, we are going to add more and more jurisdictions here. Okay, let's come back to what it is. Now, how does this help in-house counsel, CAs and CSs? So now, how will this course help me if I am an in-house counsel? I have been in a company, like I said, which had centralized compliance for entities in 19 countries. And these are the things you can face. Okay, if you don't have, people in those countries will take you for a ride. This has happened to me in Argentina. I'll name the country also. Okay, they will give you flimsy reasons for slow incorporation and closing, and they'll continue to draw remuneration because they are on a retainership. People will show you 5 things which are required, which you may actually be able to do away with if you ask the right kind of questions. But you should know what to ask them. They will tell you, "Ki, ye to chahiye. You need this. You have to do this." And you may actually be able to do away with if you frame things a little bit differently. People can completely rip you off in terms of cost of consultancy. I cannot overemphasize this. A foreign company entering another country, if the consultant there is very well aware कि सामने वाले को कुछ नहीं पता, like they are not really, they don't seem to know their way around here, they'll rip you off. Most of them also don't feel that they are under any obligation to keep you updated. And remember that when there is a miss, the responsibility is yours. It's not the external consultant who's going to go and aim it. Okay, so if you are with the MNC, you would have to, do that. Now I'll come to this. Okay, so what will I get? Like, who's going to teach me? Okay, some of the people who will teach in the course, and what is exciting. Someone said negotiation. We have this lady here. So she is a faculty with Webster. Because this course we collaborated with Webster, because we understood that despite us getting all of the skills, it wouldn't make sense to an employer to it will always be a value add if you have a foreign school or a college who is certifying that. So it will always be of some credibility to an employer who is operating in multiple different countries. So like I said, you go and tell those consultants that I know all of these jurisdictions, but then they'll say that where does it reflect? So you can say that, okay, look, I have a certificate which is certified by a US university which is operating in multiple different countries. Okay, then it amounts to making some statement. Good course in law which apart from CS or LLB has good standing or demand in Indian market. This is the course. Okay, you have left your name anonymous, but this is the course. So like I said, if you want comprehensive things at one place, all at one place, then this is it. Okay. So I told you we couldn't find it. We looked and we couldn't find something that was so comprehensive, having everything at one place for an Indian to go and look at market entry abroad. Now this lady is like, a senior advisor to the United Nations, and she's an international negotiation consultant, okay, in Europe, Middle East and US. And this is the person who is going to be teaching you negotiation. So think of what you're going to get. Not only that, when we talk of different countries, there will be practitioners from those countries, okay, or there will be people who are based in India but who have worked in those jurisdictions in order to teach you. It is not going to be someone who has just read up something and has come and teach you. They will actually have worked with that country in some manner. Okay, they will have had some experience of dealing and entering into and working in that jurisdiction. They will not just be chosen. So faculties are being confirmed, like we are reaching out to people UAE and all, like they are being confirmed right now at this time. Okay. So good course is actually done and answered now. What is something else? People have anything else in the chat? Is it advisable to do ICSA Canada, also known as CGI, Chartered Governance Institute? Like I'm saying, like unless you are actually going to go, I'll tell you how I reached. My husband got offered a job there, okay, in Dublin, and that's how I landed there. And I knew he was going to go there from 6 months before. I was trying with multiple entities while I was in India. Nothing materialized. Okay. I'm not saying that the same can happen with you, but just be aware that it is not a skill shortage area in these countries. They will look to recruit people from outside of a country in areas which is which is a skill shortage. Okay, so that's where they will look, that we don't have enough people, so we need to go and look for someone outside. Okay, so ICSA will not work for sure. Okay, how it will work? The way it will work is while sitting here, you have done some paralegal work, A or B. If you have worked with an MNC here and you develop contacts and a knowledge of how the things work there, then it will work, because you make a statement like that. You make a statement like, I have worked with a company which has presence here. I have handled all your compliances. And here it is reflecting on my CV. That's when people will think that, okay, you have that kind of knowledge, or you have that thing which you are able to do. But in order to go to that first step, which will enable a recruitment abroad, you have to have that kind of skills. Okay. How to get this related client if we are not working in MNC? So that is what I'm saying. And that is what I had mentioned, that you will be able to actually get even the paralegal work. Let me come to that slide so you can think. Even if you haven't worked with the MNC, the skills obtained in this course can help you obtain international opportunities and foreign paralegal work, which will prepare you for such roles. So as we are speaking right now, and I know of one of our students, he is working with one of the course anchors that we have in setting up, profiles on Upwork, developing and getting work from entities outside India. And he's actually working on an assignment. So this is very, very much possible. Right now, as I'm speaking, before I began this webinar, I got a phone call from one of my course anchors who told me this, that I will not be able to work through, this thing, because I'm actually helping the student do this. Okay. So if it looks like something very distant and remote to you, it's not. It is very much possible if you have the skills. Okay. So let's come to that. Now, what are you going to pay for the skills? Like I said, it's a melange of different courses. If you go and look for courses, there's a melange of different courses that you will have to look forward to if you are, trying to get this kind of knowledge. So the booking price for this course is 7,000. Okay. You have to book your seat by paying 7,000, and this will be until the end of day today. You can book the seat with paying this amount up to midnight tonight. Okay. And Abhishek here has put the offers. Abhishek, please put the phone number of Uzair, so these people can reach out if they are going to, enroll and they need help with this. Please put the phone number of Uzair. Uzair is someone who can help you enroll into this course. Okay. So Abhishek has just put down the phone number of Uzair. Please reach out to Uzair and book your seat here. Okay. And now this is something that I had given yesterday, but I actually believed that, this offer was more relevant to the audience of today. And therefore I kind of went through and had this extended to today. Okay. So someone who will enroll from this is going to get access to the corporate law library, which includes diploma in Companies Act, which includes diploma in contract drafting, which includes taxation, okay, which includes real estate, all of these courses for 3 months, absolutely free. Okay. And if I give you a really indicative idea, if you get a skill of drafting one shareholders agreement properly and one employee stock option plan properly, you can more than cover the cost of this course. Okay. And then more than that, loads more than that is actually available to you in the corporate law library. Okay. Someone has any question? No, it's Abhishek. Okay. So guys, this is what you have on offer if you are actually taking this course. Okay. Like I said, one drafting of ESOP plan, and even if you are in a tier 2 city, you can still do this for a company which is based in the likes of Mumbai or Delhi, because they are looking for skilled people in, which cost them less. They are looking for people who will charge them less than the likes of Cam and Sam. They don't want to go to these entities which will charge them 5 lakhs for just one document. Okay, they are looking for alternatives. But one or two of these kinds of transactions, if you are capable to manage and get through, you can earn equal to the amount that you pay for this course. And this course is going to give you international insights that you will need. So that is definitely a large plus that you can actually have. Do we have any legal recognition of the course? It's a certificate given by Webster University. What more would you need? It's like the Webster, it's based in Texas. Webster is based in Texas. I can give you some details of what Webster University is. Okay. It's a private university and it has a strong international presence in Europe and Asia. Europe and Asia, it has a very good presence with. Okay, and just look at the placement rate of this university here, which is like 98%. Okay, it's among the best in the category. This will kind of make you think that if so many people from this university are getting placed, that means that employers recognize it. Okay, whatever may be the case, employers definitely recognize it. Only then it can get this kind of a placement rate, right? So you get this, you get a certificate from this. Not only this, we have a fully functional placement department. Okay, and our placement department has had success in placing Indian law students as interns with firms based in likes of Malaysia and Japan also. So they have been able to connect the Indian students with internships in such places. And now when you are doing that and you are able to demonstrate multi-country skills to entities or firms like this, who knows, you may be able to travel abroad because you are able to demonstrate the skills, right? When will the course start and what is the duration? It starts on the 1st of March, and the duration is 6 months. Okay, but we are going to keep on adding countries to it. Okay, you can have access to the content for a much longer period of time of 3 years. You'll be able to see all of that for a much longer period of time. Okay, so now let's go into what are the fees. And obviously people will say that maybe I can't pay the fees for this. Okay, so it is the course costs 73,000 in total. That is the fees spread over it is a 6 months course. As we are saying, with that you get the corporate law library, which is worth a lakh and 5,000. We charge 1,05,000 for access to corporate law library, but you are getting 3 months access to that for free when you get this course for 73,000. And there is a payment plan here which says you have to pay the down payment of 14,600, and this is the installment that you have. Okay, this can be managed from internship payments if you want to really go or get into that. Okay, 4,867 per month. Okay, someone will be able to manage this from internship related payments. Another stunner is if you pay 12,000 more, then you can get access to the corporate law library for 12 months. Like I said, 2 transactions give you the fee of this course. If you are able to enter into multiple different kind of transactions and advices, drafting contracts, even drafting contracts, just assume you get kind of 10,000 and you get 10 contracts. What more do you need? You are done. You are already over the break-even point for the course. Okay, that's all that kind of needs to be done. Okay, And we have the drafting diploma in here, which is the likes of 100 different contracts. So just think of the ability that you are getting with this. Okay. The total fees for the course Shweta are 73,000. But if you want the corporate law library, and I retained it to one more day, otherwise we were going to stop it at midnight yesterday. But because I found that, you know, the audience of this course is actually more suited to the corporate law library, they will benefit more, okay, from that. That's why we extended to one more day. And until midnight tonight, if you book, you're going to get the corporate law library free for a period of 3 months. And 12,000 more, you can get the corporate law library for 12 months. Remember, corporate law library costs 1,05,000. Okay, we charge 1,05,000 for the corporate law library access. The timing of the sessions will usually be after work hours on weekdays, and on Sundays it will be different. But just remember this, guys, we are going to get international faculties for this course. When we get international faculties, they are in a different time zone. So sometimes you might have to make yourself available at a time for a faculty, because it is a difficult time zone for them to maintain, like, you know, your time zone. Okay, they are going to take classes from a different country, so they will be operating in their time zone. Okay, so that is one exception where you can, like, you know, be changed. Thank you, Ketwal. Good. So Ketwal is enrolling right away, guys. So just think, like, you know, this is not something that you will lose out on at all. Okay. In fact, if you do this, you get the corporate law library for 12 months. And in that also there are finance options. So you have a payment of 17,000 as a down payment and 5,667 for 12 months. So if you're booking the course, you know, with 12,000 more payment than that. And please reach out to 𝗂𝘂. He will make the appropriate link and appropriate things available to you. If you call him, he will help you through the enrollment process. Okay. Abhishek, can you please put down the number of 𝗂𝘂 once more? Please put down the number of 𝗂𝘂 once more. How many hours class per day, Ashok? Usually you have classes once or twice in a week that we do. And these classes run, like, you know, from easily, they are 1 hour classes, but I'll tell you that most classes reach 1.5 hours. Okay. In a week, 1 to 2 classes will be like this. And then there are 6 hours of classes by the Webster faculties. There are faculties from Webster University who are going to be teaching you. Professor 𝗂𝗏𝗂, I just mentioned. There is another professor, Professor Dominic Jolly, who will be teaching you on China. Okay. And he is also going to be teaching you from Webster. So, like, you know, this will be they are going to have 6 hours of classes by the Webster faculty. Okay. So you have 1 or 2 sessions in the week and 1 to 1.5 hours. Okay. Abhishek, are there seats left? Nandalal is inquiring. Okay. Right now you only pay the booking fee to get your corporate law library. Okay. If you are availing of the finance option, the processing cost is some 1,200 bucks, which is not much there at all. Okay. Abhishek, 7 seats. 𝗂𝘂 is not on WhatsApp. You will have to call him, Shweta. You will have to ring him. Please call him. He'll pick up the call or he will call back. Okay. He will help you if you want to enroll. He will not stop it for you. Don't worry about it. Okay. Abhishek, is he on WhatsApp on that number?
Yes, ma'am. This is his calling as well as WhatsApp number.
Okay, but not then Shweta, please call him. He will pick up and he will help you. If you have tried to reach him and you haven't been enrolled, people will not stop. Like, you know, it is reasonable. So don't worry, Shweta, just call. Okay. So that is what this is about. Like, you know, you gain this. So quite a few people are actually looking to enroll. It's a very, you know, decent thing. What's the total time needed to complete corporate law library? So as I said, that it's a melange of courses. So you can choose. The best thing is, if you're looking to choose from courses, the situation is not that I want to do all the courses. Most of the times the situation is like, I want to know about how to conduct a due diligence on real estate agreements, how to draft an ESOP plan, how to draft a shareholder agreement, how to draft a manufacturing agreement. You will have different needs at different times. You will never be in a zone that all of those things are there as required, and all of these you can find in this melange of courses. So you will be able to get the relevant knowledge, okay, that you want from the corporate law library. Okay, if you sit to do all of these courses, and the total of that courses will exceed like and a crazy amount of sum. Okay, but here you are getting that access to the international business course, because we realize you will need to have that coordination between the Indian laws and the law outside the country. Okay, that's the reason we are giving that. Okay, guys, anyone has any specific questions that are in relation to the course? I would like to solve that. Let me show you what the corporate law library entails, right? You should be able to see what courses are there in the corporate law library. What is the kind of knowledge that you get? So corporate law library, here it is. It is showing closed right now, but because we are offering this, you will be able, as you can see, the price is 1,05,000. Okay. What is included in the corporate law library? Look at this. Your diploma in intellectual property, media and entertainment laws, contract drafting, M&A finance and investment laws, okay, technology contracts, diploma in business laws for in-house counsels, diploma in Companies Act, certificate in real estate laws, corporate taxation, IBC, legal practice development and management. This one course in itself can help you to earn a lakh of rupees, because it helps you on how to build a brand out of yourself if you are practicing. Okay, I saw that there are many practicing advocates, practicing company secretaries. This course helps you on how to build a brand, how to generate a clientele. This one course itself can change the things for you. So, certificate course in capital markets, securities laws, insider trading and SEBI litigation. Okay. Import export customs laws, consumer law, banking and finance practice. Okay. Competition law, and competition law, one assignment is in a lakh of rupees. Like sometimes if you are drafting what is called an information, okay, and that training is there in this course. NCLT, legal metrology and certificate course in electricity and renewable energy laws. And when we build courses which are relevant to corporate law library, we add courses to that. Okay, and there is no extra cost to you. So that's how the library functions. If there are relevant courses which fall in the corporate bracket, for example, tomorrow if we were building a course which is specific to corporate law, we're going to add it into this library just like that. And you are not going to be charged anything. You get access to the library. Okay. So that's what this corporate law library is about. Okay. Any questions on what gets included? And this is what is going to happen. We are looking to have environmental law. It may not be much, but then that's going to happen. I'll tell you what is coming. There can be something on sports law that is coming, and that can be added to this. Very, very niche area. Okay. So just think of this. Okay. Anyone has any specific questions that are there in relation to the course? Yes, Ajay. I have allowed you to talk. You can unmute yourself and ask. Ajay, you can unmute and ask. You have raised the hand here. Do we have exams for the same? Plus, I'm working for corporate house. How to manage the course and work? Do we have a, yeah. So sorry, I understand you have to ask 3 times, probably because I was not answering. So let me give, these details. So every time when you enroll in the course, like in any 𝗨𝗂𝘂𝗀𝗀 course, like which has classes, you always have a dedicated course anchor assigned to you. Okay. And the course anchor for this course is an experienced in-house counsel and litigator himself. Okay, he had worked with BPCL and he had been in the litigation. He has been in both these domain. Okay, and he is someone who is going to help you navigate through this course. So all of these, all of these queries that you have, which are for, whether you will be able to manage it with your work schedule, what is the time you need to give, how to navigate through assignments, how to work and understand that. Okay, he will guide you. He will actually sit down with you and guide you on this. Okay, so that is how it goes as far as your support system is concerned. Badri, does that answer your question? The course anchor will actually sit you and guide you on how you can plan things to work. Okay, and he is a qualified lawyer and has worked as an in-house counsel and litigator himself. That is just the course coordinator and the course anchor. Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Nandlal. Most welcome. Anyone else who is enrolling? Come on, guys. Who is enrolling? I really would like to see you guys there in that course. And I can tell you, international business, I always say this in all of the webinars and workshops, is very, very close to me. I have been in that domain, it's very close to me. And the more crowd I see, in that niche, I'm really happy. I'm happy that people are actually taking, interest in this side. Okay. Hi, Suman. Sure, we will see you in the classes. Thank you so much. Most welcome. We will see you. Okay, brilliant. Anyone else who has enrolled or is looking to enroll? Anyone else who's looking to enroll, guys? Will you take any class? I will take a classes when it comes to multi-jurisdictional compliance. I will be guiding on that because I have worked on that for a period of 6 flat years. So I can speak of that. But otherwise, those specific durations, jurisdictions, it will be faculties or people from that jurisdiction who are going to take your classes. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions that you guys have before I actually close? But note down 𝗂𝗏's number. Abhishek just put it down one last time, just in case people have any questions that come. Please put down 𝗂𝗏's number for one last time before we actually, close this off. Guys, please note 𝗂𝗏's number. You can reach out to 𝗂𝗏 if you're looking to enroll. Abhishek, please put 𝗂𝗏's number just once again in case people miss out. So guys, this is 𝗂𝗏's number. Please note this down. Okay. Please note this down in case you have any questions that are related to enrollment. Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Some are trying to pay, but their payment is getting failed. So,
yeah, this is this happened yesterday also. Sometimes because it can happen. Someone tries to pay. That's why always reach 𝗂𝗏 first if you want to
he can send the manual link and.
You may have issues or something may happen. It happened yesterday also. Thanks, Abhishek. Yeah, people will reach out. So guys, please note down. I am closing the webinar. Is everyone through with 𝗂𝗏's number? Noted, whoever wants to. Okay. Thank you guys so much and have a great night. I'll just put my email ID here as well if people actually reach out. Or something is missed out. Okay. So that's my email ID. Okay. Thanks everybody and good night. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.